All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Got another interview here. We're here with Alfredo today. Alfredo, how you feeling?
Pretty good, pretty pumped, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here with us. So you've got a really interesting background. I think this is one of the more unique stories that we're going to be able to tell through this interview series here. What were you doing before you became an agency owner?
I was a criminal attorney in Mexico.
So you're a lawyer.
Yes. It's actually very, very interesting. But I let you ask the questions, man.
Nice. Yeah, we'll tell the story and we'll give people an idea of what you're doing now. So you became an agency owner. What's going on in your life today?
My partner and I, Gavin and I, started an agency back in March, and we've been growing month after month. It's been amazing.
Nice.
We have a lot of work. You have guided us through it. You have pointed us in the right direction. We're excited, man. The future looks bright.
Awesome. Yeah. And for everybody who's watching this right now, Gavin's also an incredible guy. He was ex-military here. He's in the US, right? That's where he's at?
Yes, correct.
Yes. Thank you for your service, Gavin. We were watching this, and also anybody else who's been in the military. Thank you. So you have a business partner. You started up a marketing agency. How long were you a lawyer before you got started into all this in March?
About 15 years, man. It was pretty crazy. I studied law in one of the best law schools in Mexico City.
Yep.
After finishing my career, I practiced criminal law for quite a few years.
Yep.
I wanted to do a master's degree because I don't want to go into the details, but basically the criminal law system in Mexico switched from one kind of system to a system that's more similar to the one that you guys have in the States. And so I wanted to learn that from the source. And so I applied to several law schools in the United States to do a master's degree. I did 2 summer research stays at Yale Law School, and I got admitted in Penn Law School, and I did a joint program in Wharton and Penn Law. And it was an amazing experience, man. It was pretty cool. I got indebted to my neck, or it was pretty crazy. I came back to Mexico, to the law firm that I was working at. After the master's degree, my wife was pregnant. I had all these like more than $100,000 of debt. Wow. And I was earning pesos, and my salary in the law firm that I went back to was like $800 a month, man. It was, wow. Yeah, it was pretty terrible, man. When I just to pay what I needed to pay month by month for the debt that I got to go to the States and study that, I was going to have to pay around like $4,000 a month. Wow. Only on debt, not counting like all the living expenses that I had. It was just a crazy time. And so I had to quit that job. And fortunately, I got into the federal government. It was a very good post. I got the privilege of representing Mexico before the UN and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights and the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights. It was a very good, man, but the job was like very, very, very time consuming. I loved what I did, but I was missing the first years of my children. I was missing my wife. We started having problems in our marriage, and we were on the brink of divorce.
Wow.
And I was just like, fuck it. My family is the most important thing. And, I'll see what I can do. And during this time, at some point, like, when there was so much tension in my marriage, my wife sent me an ad of an digital marketing program. I think that she did that just as a way of, let's see if this sticks. Let's see if this helps anything. And so I kind of like, honestly, man, I looked at it just as a way of not having a discussion with her again, I like just in case she asked, just that I actually paid attention to what she said, because it was like, it was terrible, man, that during that time.
Sorry to hear
so that got me into a rabbit hole. While I was working still in the federal government, and I got like immersed into this thing, and I started liking it and doing some research, and I started buying courses and this and that and trying this. Long story short, man, I quit my job I just spent some time with my family to just try to recover anything that was recoverable from my relationship.
Yep.
And so, but I was not generating any income. We were living off this money that I had saved. And I started to apply what I had learned during this time, because I hadn't done like shit, honestly, man. I was just like in just consuming information and not executing on it. When I started applying it, after weeks or, a month or so after quitting my job, I got like 2 clients for my criminal law practice. Nice. And I was like, there's something here. Like there's obviously something here. And eventually my friends in law school, they asked me to show them how I was doing that. And it was just pretty simple stuff that I was doing. Like, like back then when I did this, organic reach was still kind of big. And so you could basically got away with, posting things on your page and, boosting posts, things that are like reach. Terrible right now.
So true.
But they actually worked back then. And so I started learning more and more about the digital marketing, got into some more programs. Eventually I moved from Mexico City to my home state called San Luis Potosí. And in San Luis Potosí, when I moved from there to here, I was offered another post in the state government that had to do with what I had studied back in Penn Law. Yeah. I took it. I don't think it was the smartest decision, man, but I did. So I put on hold what I was doing, and I was there for like a year or so. That was the time when Frank Kern and Grant Cardone were starting their own agency.
Yeah, I remember.
They were looking for people to become part of their team. Yep. And so I applied. I was not expecting anything, and I was hired. Nice. And it was super like some reassurance that I was, I had some idea in what I was doing, and I had learned enough. And so when I was in that agency, I got to meet my partner Gavin.
Got it.
And Gavin was the one who introduced me to you and your program, man.
Got it.
And it was just that part of my life it was just life changing, because I got to meet my partner. I started planning ahead with him what we were going to do once the agency was over, which turned out to be rather than later.
Yeah, they shut that thing down.
Right. And so basically, long story short, on March of this year, they shut down the agency just like that, man. One day we were working, the next day they sent us an email and say, hey, we're closing. Thanks for playing, and just take care of yourself.
Crazy.
So fortunately, Gavin and I had already talked about all of this. Smart. And we started working with what we had learned from your program, and things have been very good, man.
What did you guys start to do to actually grow the agency? You mentioned it's been growing month over month. What kind of actions did you take from the program and implement?
Well, basically the cold video pitches. Yeah. They're very, very important in our success. Yep. It's also, we have come to realize that it's also a matter of perseverance and persistence, and you just hone in your skills. The more you do it,
it's true. And
you have to be patient, and you have to follow up a lot, man. When you start doing it, you think that you're gonna send a cold video pitch and people are gonna wire you, thousands of money. And it happens sometimes, but it's rare. And
most of the deals closing the follow up for sure.
Exactly, and you have to nurture the lead, and you have to build a relationship with them and follow up. True. And it just takes time. It's you have to be resilient and perseverant in doing that.
Very true.
Also, just structuring the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, how you're gonna onboard the clients, because the more clients you get, the more shit you have to do, and then you're all over the place, and it just becomes a freaking mess, man. And it can be a nightmare if you're not well organized. I think one of the best things that has worked for Gavin and I is that we are 2 people, and so he is the one that's focusing on client acquisition, and I am focusing on the delivery of the service.
Smart play.
And the fulfillment of the service. And that allows him to focus on his his realm of his gifts.
Yeah, what he's good
and I can focus on my gifts.
Smart.
And that way, you don't have to take away time from your area of alchemy or magic to do something that maybe you don't enjoy or you are not very good at, or you will have to develop the skill to actually do it well. So I think that has helped us a lot.
Nice. Makes a lot of sense. And what is it you guys are making today in your marketing agency?
We are doing around $20,000 a month right now.
Incredible. And I imagine that's a lot better than the $800 or a couple grand you were making before, huh?
you imagine, right, man? Yeah.
What are the biggest differences you've noticed? I mean, because you and I both know there's a lot of room to scale there. You guys are definitely going to be making more. You're going to continue your momentum and continue growing through time. I'm sure even by the time maybe somebody's watching this in the future, you might already be at like 40 or 50K a month, But the 20K you're doing now, right, how have you seen differences in your life? Like, have you seen a difference in your relationship? Like, have you had more time with your family or anything like that, or what's changed?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I think especially as men, we live in a culture, at least in the Western culture. Yeah. And this is changing, as time goes by, but so far we as men are the providers of our family. And
True.
When we struggle to provide, that brings a lot of stress to ourselves, where we become more reactive and more, maybe more sensitive to just a small shit that can trigger you, And that's what was happening with me and my wife back then. When I was in the federal government, I was earning good money. Money was not a problem back then, but we were just not communicating. And anything that I said, even if I didn't want to, in the best of with my best intention, it would trigger her, and vice versa. And that would it's tough. It was just like a waterfall of negativity in the relationship. Yeah. But when you couple with that, the fact that you are not bringing in the money that you guys need, and you are, you're scraping by, and it's just freaking multiplied, exponentially, and it's just terrible, man. So yeah.
What differences are there today?
We still have to work very hard, but the difference is that I'm working for something that's mine now. I'm not working for the dreams of somebody else's. And I know that right now we have certain stability to pay the bills month after month, and still have something left, that we can, for whatever, investing, recreational activities with my kids, just traveling, just giving a gift to my wife, man, like, something small things like that. Going to the movies, man, just having some time, because now you own your own time, and like, this is the best thing, man. Like, I work from home now, and I can see my children. I can eat lunch with them. Before, I had to eat like somewhere near my office because I didn't have enough time to go. So I wouldn't see my children. Like, I would see them in the morning, and then I wouldn't see them until the next morning, because when I came home, they were already in bed. So it's just those little things, man, that you can start actually living your life, and enjoying the process and enjoying every day. Yeah, it's night and day, man.
Glad to hear it, bro. That's an incredible transition for sure, and I'm glad you're in that spot. The biggest piece of advice that you'd hand down to somebody who's getting started, or maybe they're in the same kind of time constraint, high stress situation that you were before, what's the best advice you'd hand down to that person?
Be patient. Be patient, and don't take it on or off. I don't know how to say it in English. On your loved ones, it's they are there for you, and they love you, and they want you to be happy, and you want to provide them with whatever you like, the best possible life that you can give them. And just, if you persist, if you are tenacious in what you want to achieve, and you're patient, eventually, I don't know if this sounds too woo-woo or whatever. I man, being a lawyer, I'm the most like, I didn't believe in all this shit, like meditation, like morning routine. Like, I didn't believe in all of that, but it does make a whole lot of difference.
Very true.
Try meditate, just say something positive to your wife and your kids every day. And just keep grinding, man. Keep working every single time that you have, or every moment that you have free, that you have time to spare. Don't mindlessly scroll in this shit, man. Like work for your dream and learn, hone in on your skills and execute, because execution is what makes all the difference.
It's really good advice. In March I posted a tweet, and then it got copied again and again and again. It got so much press. It was like Andy Frisella's podcast. I had like 5,000 responses to it, over 2 million impressions. And all I told people, I didn't target one demographic. I just said, if you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill, starting up a new business or a side hustle, or just getting some new knowledge, like, you never lack the time, you lack the discipline. And out of the 5,000 plus replies, I personally loved it, and I didn't really feel attacked by it, but man, it was crazy of like what a lot of these people were saying. And I noticed a lot of them were parents, coincidentally, telling me that life was that much more chaotic while they were working at home and, had to do work from home stuff, have their kids on top of that. And, empathetically, I can understand it, but it's hard for me to relate because I don't have kids. I'm 26 right now at the time we're recording this. So having 2 children, right? That's how many you have? Two kids?
Yeah.
Having 2 kids, working from home, literally starting up a business and doing all this other stuff that you mentioned in your history here. What kind of advice you pass down for the parents that might be considering starting a marketing agency?
Listen, I'm super lucky because my wife takes care of my children, like, much better than I would. And she's much more patient than I am. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I have to recognize to her. But like, we are super disciplined in the time schedules that we give our children. So they have to be up about 8 a.m. and they have their times for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. And they have to be on bed by 7 p.m. Nice. By 7 p.m. Some of our friends, like, they say, hey guys, you're crazy. Like, how do you send your kids by 7 p.m.? Because they take a shower at 6 p.m. and at 7 p.m. like, they eat dinner from like 6:30 to 7, and at 7 they have brushed their teeth and they are in bed.
Nice.
And it just gives you a buffer of time to spend time with your partner alone, because it's important, and also it gives you time to study and to keep developing that skills and to keep working on whatever you need to work.
Great.
But if you are not disciplined with yourself and with your children, and you don't respect your time or others' time, and you hold them accountable to those times that you have set for them, when you are the parent, you're responsible for them. Yep. I mean, who's going to respect your time if you don't respect your own? Like, you need to set boundaries for your time, and you have to know that at certain times of the day, you have certain amount of time for yourself or for your partner or for whatever you need to do or you want to do. But if you don't set those boundaries, nobody else will.
That's really good advice. I imagine some parents listening to this will probably be triggered by that. But in addition, I'm sure a lot of them will be inspired by what you said, for sure. Hopefully you don't get attacked like I did in that tweet.
Yeah, they can follow me on, and they can hate on me, man. That's my truth.
No, that's great. And the biggest piece of advice, we'll wrap it up with this. I know you got a lot of things going on. Best piece of advice that you feel has had the most impact on you, the biggest lesson you've learned throughout this entire process. What would you hand down to people watching this right now?
You need to focus on cash flow, man. On cash flow, on skills that can bring you cash flow.
So true.
Whatever that is, man, whether it's digital advertising, whether that is real estate investing, whatever it is, you need to develop skills that bring you cash flow, because the cash flow is going to allow you to later on, everything comes in due time, but the cash flow first, it will give you certainty and tranquility and, peace of mind.
Oh, true.
And that will allow you to be the best version of yourself, because you will not be in reactive mode. That will improve your relationship. That will improve your relationship in your family, with your business partners, overall. And it will also allow you to invest in things that will later on give you the free time that you are pursuing. They give you the liberty and the freedom that we all want. But you have to put in the work at first, and you have to put in the time. And the cash flow at first is not going to come if you don't put in the work and if you don't hone in your skills. So, yeah.
It's a legendary interview. This is one of my favorites for sure. You've given incredible insight in both your journey you've given great advice. I'm sure everybody watching this right now would want me to say thank you from them through me to you, and from me to you as well. Tons of respect, dude. Incredible job. Way to stay disciplined, and I'm really excited to see your growth. I want to see you guys hit 1 million a month. It's gonna be sweet.
So do we, man. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you for the time.
No problem, man. My pleasure.